Good morning. It's snow day, and that means stamping with Cindy. So I worked all evening while I enjoyed the snowfall, working on some projects that I've been dying to do for you guys. I wanted to do like a 12 days of Christmas. There were so many things I wanted to do and just didn't get time to do. And when the snow came, I thought this is the perfect opportunity. Put the Christmas cards aside and stamp. I had so much fun. I hope that this is as fun for you as it was for me. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on here, and then I will get started. I have a ton of stuff to show you guys. So let's see if I can find it. There we go. All right, there we go. All right, so maybe you're out shoveling snow. Maybe you're out playing with the kids. Maybe you don't have time to join me today, but this will be up for later, hopefully, if the recording goes through this time. I had trouble on Monday, I guess. The recording disappeared. So that was the first for that. Hi, Talara. Thank you. I decided to get festive today. I didn't want to come in my jammies, so I thought I had this Santa hat laying around that the kids wear, and so I thought I would do that. Hi, Tina. Hi, Denise. I'm so excited that you guys are here. So, did anybody get out in the snow yet today? If you're like me, you avoid it at all cost. No, that's not true. I do like to play in it with the kids, but I'm too old to play in it myself, I think. I would probably fall and break my neck. So my daughter's out doing the driveway. My other daughter's upstairs baking for our weekend before she goes to work today. So everybody's helping me out today. All right. Thanks, Tina. I got my hair down because I can't have it up and put this hat on. So we were talking about that the other day. All right. I don't want to delay too much because I have too much to show you guys. If you need to leave, that is fine. You can come back later and catch anything that you missed. I'm going to just power through. I don't even know how many projects I have to show you. Some are really simple and some are a little more involved. I may just give you like little snippets of ideas with those. One is a little long, but it's really cute. And anyways, probably going to do the really short ones first and save the longer ones till the end. I probably shouldn't do that because when you'll be sick of me by then. But I had so much fun last night playing, yesterday all afternoon playing until 3 o'clock this morning. I finally said, okay, that's enough projects. But anyways, yeah, that will be fun. Hey, Joel. That'll be fun, Tina. I probably should do that too because I don't think I'm going to get to see them this weekend. All right, I'm going to get started, guys. So here we go. So I decided to show you this really quick. This is something that I made for the scrapbook weekend. Oh, no, I didn't. I made this at scrapbook weekend, and I gave these as gifts at my classes. I believe, I can't remember where I gave them now. Anyway, so I thought I would show you really quick how to do this because, you know, I like to store my glue upside down so that it's right there at that tip because I use the tip all the time. It's right there at the tip ready to go. And this little box sits up nicely and holds one glue thing. Now, I did buy some of these shot glasses, but they're not nearly as cute as this little box. So let me just give you the dimensions of that and show you how I did that really quick. It's been a long time since I did them, so hopefully I can remember. So this is my paper. I'm going to put white under there so that you can see that better. So it is a 8.5 by 5.5. I decided I wanted to make it with a half a sheet of cardstock. So then I just figured my dimensions from there. So on the long end, you will score it at 5/8. 2 5/8. I apologize, these are not exact, like on the quarter or whatever, but this is what I found worked best. So again, 5/8, 2 5/8, 4, I can't even see that, 4 5/8, 6 5/8. Anyways, that's how that worked out. And then on the other end, on the other short side, I did it at 2 4. Okay, so then what you'll do is I'm going to snip down here. Well, I did run this through the die cutting machine. I punched a circle, but the circle didn't, it didn't allow this to sit down on the bottom. So then I took the tiniest oval die that we have and cut an oval out as well. So that seemed to work really good. I think that the punch was the 1 inch, no, 1 1/4 inch circle punch. Okay, so I'm going to snip. Oh, I got glue in here. I was a gluey mess till I went to bed last night. Just going to cut straight. You can do this with your trimmer if you want, or you can do it right on the line. Now, I have to think. Okay, so this, oh, I did that wrong. I totally screwed that up. Don't listen to me. Hold on, let me grab another one. Wow. Okay, this piece, this is the piece that comes up over the front. This is actually loose right here. All right, so I wish I could back up. This is when you wish you weren't live. Oh my goodness. So this is going to be the front. Let me turn it this way. This is going to be the front piece that comes up over the top. I really should have played with this before I did that. And I'm also going to, let me turn this here so that you can see this while I'm doing it. So this top piece here is where my, the piece that's going to stand up. So let me do that next. I'm feeling really lost here. I don't know what in the world is wrong with me today. I'm totally like all of a sudden do not know what the heck I'm doing. Okay, that is not the piece. This piece, oh my goodness. Maybe I did these wrong. These, I think that somebody die cut these wrong for me. Oh my word. I might save that project till the end, and if I can figure out how to salvage that cut. I believe I had those sitting there because they were cut wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. That's not a good start. Okay, let's start with the things I just did. Hi, welcome to the rest of you. I am just, wow, that totally threw me off for the day. So, okay, back. Let's start over. Can we start over for a second? So I bought these masks for scrapbook weekend gifts, and I'm going to take them to the mountains this weekend, and all of us ladies can do our faces. So I thought I would make a cute little gift package with my green tea, and I decided to make a belly band with this really gorgeous paper that we have. And see how pretty that is? So I cut that to go around. So I just put the paper around like this. And then I said, okay, that's good right there. I just need enough to glue it. So I'm not going to give you measurements on that because whatever you want to wrap, this is how you do a belly band. And then I decided that I wanted a little bit more pizzazz in the front here. So I cut a piece of our brushed gold cardstock, either gold or brass, I don't know. It all comes together in 3 different colors, and it doesn't tell you really which is which. So then I cut a piece of that. Isn't that pretty? That really helps to set that white off. All right, so that's that part. Let me just put some tear and tape on here and get that glued down. And then I want to show you my front little piece that's going to go on there. Grab my little... I love this little block, as you know if you've watched me lately. It's a square block from our paper pumpkin, and I love how it just cuts our tear and tape. I usually just tear it, but then it's all raggedy and sometimes sticks out over the edge. Okay, so there's that, and I might just put a little piece on here so that that doesn't slip. I want that to have an even amount at the top and the bottom. So I'm going to just scoot that in there and press that down. Okay, now, okay, we'll see if this goes how I planned it. So I got a piece of our Sizzix adhesive sheets. I was introduced to another adhesive, and I like it a lot for open things, but this works really nice for closed things. Of course, if you can get the adhesive piece to pull up. So this is the adhesive side. I die cut this out of that same gold, and I'm so excited that all you guys are joining me. And then I did stamp this saying from the Wrapped in Christmas bundle, and I die cut it with the die from that. You can see the cute little border around the edge. That's not stamped, that's actually die cut. And I'm gonna, I stamped that in StazOn. And I'm gonna go ahead and press that down there and give that a good burnish. And then the reason I'm doing this is because I want to put some ribbon around the edge. I want to make like a medallion type thing. And so I need it to have lots of sticky all over it. Now I'm going to get that pulled off and hope that I don't have sticky on the front. All right, finished with that. All right, there we go. Now I want to put this ribbon around it. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to cut anything because I don't know how much I need. I'm just going to get it started here. And then just sort of give it a little bit of a, what do I want to say, gather as I go. It might be easier to work from the other side than I can actually press into it. It's a little tedious, but hopefully in the end it will be totally worth it. Takes a little bit of ribbon, but this ribbon has 10 yards on a roll, so I know that I probably use my ribbon up faster than you guys do because of classes and everything, but for most people, they hesitate to buy that much ribbon because they don't know if they'll get it all used. But there's so many cute things you can do with ribbon, and it's not sticking great to this, so I may have to, I think my fingers are getting more sticky than anything. All right, let me just snip that there. Okay, tuck and tuck. And I'm going to press in here. And then I am going to add some dimensionals to this. And of course, I only have little dimensionals, which was dumb. I'm going to try to catch some of these edges here as well. Whoops. Okay, stick to me instead. These little ones, I don't know. I find that the top part wants to come off of them before I actually get them onto my project. Okay, one more here. And then maybe one in the center. I'm not sure why I didn't grab big ones because they definitely each have their place. Let me get these peeled off of here. Okay, and I was going to put this down here beside the sleigh. I don't want it to get onto the packet because I want to just be able to pull that off. And there we go. Let me just tuck that under there a little bit and give it a little push. There. I think that's sort of cute. I think somebody would be really happy to get this. And the other, you know, it's all about the packaging. And I bought a whole bunch of little gifts, and I decided that I'm going to make them up into packages. And if you want to stick that in a cello bag just to protect this little medallion thing, you can. You could even put a ribbon around this if you want to. I'm not going to do that right now, but look how pretty that looks. Man, I feel like you could sell that. So hopefully that's an inspiration to you. That's one. The next one I have made years and years and years ago, and you may have already made this one. I'm going to be using my scoring tool a lot, so I'm going to just sit that on here for now. So this is the little gift. It's a little tea bag holder, or in this case, you can put a gift card. You can put some Ghirardelli chocolates in there. Yeah, so really cute. All right. So what I did was I started with a 6x6 piece of cardstock of designer paper, and you are going to be using the diagonal for this. So in order to find the point on your diagonal, and this is going to be set at 4 1/4. Let me pull this back here so you can see it. So this point is going to be at 4 1/4. I want to show you, this is 6x6. So 4 1/4, but in order for me to find the quarter down here, I need to bring this down from the top. So you just go like this, come down, don't move it, point this back up to the 4 1/4 up here, and then bring this up to your point down here and just line them up. Okay, let me show you again. You bring your bring this to 4 1/4, come down, put this back to that point. You can see it's touching the edge here, and bring this back up so that you're meeting up at that point right there. Okay, so now I'm at 4 1/4 here, and I'm at 4 1/4 here. All right, now my score lines, I'm going to put this here, and if you can read my chicken scratch, you're going to score at 2 3/4. I tried many different measurements here, guys, and this is what worked out. I'm hoping I wrote it down right. That's the only thing that scares me after I try so many things. And this one is at 5 3/4. Let's see if that looks right. Yeah. So 2 3/4 and 5 3/4. All right. Now I'm going to fold those, and then I'm going to put this back in here flat. Let me scoot that over. And now I'm going to score it at 4. And you can change these measurements. Like this one, it has a little gusset at the bottom, but it's not a lot. It doesn't stand up on its own. Well, it does, but it's tricky. You've got to balance the front and the back. That's why I put one tea bag in the front. But you can make that gusset a little wider, but if you do, then you're not going to be as tall this way. So you got to figure out what works for you. As I'm doing these projects, I sort of want to tell you how I came to these measurements and how you can adjust them for yourself if you're doing something. Just like that belly band that I showed you, you need to look at what you're making and then decide. So I scored this at 4, and you do have to push pretty hard because you're going through 3 layers, 4 1/4 and 4 1/2. So 4 1/4 is my center, because we already figured that when we turned it the other way. 4 1/4 was the center. So I just came a 1/2 inch on either side of that to give the gusset. And what you're going to do now is you're going to fold it on that center line, and then you're going to fold back on the other 2 lines, just like that. Let me turn it over, do the same thing on this side, and just like that. And voila, there is your little treat pouch. Okay, quick and easy. You'll need a punch to hold this together at the top, and a little bit of ribbon. I just want to show you this one finished because I thought these colors would be so pretty together. I love crumb cake and real red, and I love the berries on this. This is from the Poinsettia designer paper pack. So, okay. Here we go. Okay. So another really cute pack that I can put whatever fits. Like I said, Ghirardelli's, tea bags, a gift certificate, a gift card. So I hope you can try that one if you haven't done that one before. That one is probably the quickest and for the look. Okay, so I came up with this one. Sort of saw an idea online, and I remembered how you can use this our cute tag. Actually, they're called yeah, I think they're called tag punches. So a 2-inch wide piece will fit into my tag punch. Makes a great bookmark or something like that. So I cut this piece. Let me just give you my measurements. I'm going to show you, I have Andy's Candies in there. You can put pretty much anything. This is about an inch. This is an inch by 2 inches, the little box inside. And let me set that there. Okay, so this piece is 2 inches by 10 inches. All right, now let me give you the score lines. You're going to score it at 2. No, I'm sorry, not 2. 1. These are just for sort of for the looks. I did this afterwards because I wanted, so sometimes you can just score for fun to make it look cool. So 1, 1 1/4, 4 1/2, 5 1/2, 8 3/4, and 9. That's not right. Oh yeah, 9. That's because I didn't cut this. Okay, I need to get my trimmer here. So I did, yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't cut that last inch off of there. And I'm just going to put it over here to my cutter on this side. When I cut short pieces, I just use the one, it goes up to 1 1/2 inches on this new cutter, so I really like that. All right, so now those measurements were correct. You can see I have 2 score lines here at this end and 2 at this end, and then this is my center where my little box is going to go. Okay, all right, now I'm going to take this punch. This will fit right into that slot. It's 2 inches wide. I have done wider, and then you just have to trim off this little top a little bit. You can just tuck it, like it doesn't fit in the slot right here, but it fits down into the punch. So if you need it wider, you can. I was able to make this work at 2 inches. I shouldn't probably punch that on there. Okay, so now we have this piece made. And before we put that together, I'm going to stamp a little bit on there. But let me go ahead and do the box. Let's show you the box. The box is 3 inches by 4 inches. And let me just tell you really quick, I'm going to try to make this short, but I want you to know how to figure out how to make a box, okay? So I knew that I had 1 inch here and I had 2 inches here, all right? So to make a box, I knew that it's going to have a side here, so that's going to be 1 inch. The bottom's going to be 1 inch, and the next side's going to be 1 inch. So that means I need 3 inches this way. For the length of it, this is 1 inch, this is 2 inches, and this is another inch. That's 4 inches, okay? That easy. Really, really easy. Not hard to figure out. Now you score at 1 inch on every side. So I'm just going to move this around so I have all 4 sides scored. Okay, and now I'm ready to give it some snips, and I want, it doesn't matter how you cut this, but pick which side you want to do and cut 2 slits on each side. So I'm doing it on this side. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You're going to actually be covering up a lot of it anyways. All right, let me get rid of this scoring tool. I need to do a little stamping here, and then we will put that together. The only thing I don't like about our scoring thing is it's so big. It's great for big things, but it's really very, very large and cumbersome. Okay, but I couldn't live without it either. So, all right, I'm using the snowflake from our Snowflake Wishes, I believe it's called. I'm using that for a couple projects, so I might have it with the other one. And I went through my Christmas cards, and I knew I didn't have time to stamp everything. So I found this little snowman on a swap that I had gotten, and he was in purple, so I decided to make this purple. So I didn't do him, but isn't he so stinking cute? And I think he was made for this package. Seriously, he looks way better on here than he did on my card. No offense to the person that made it. It was a beautiful card. Okay, so I'm just going to put some, I'm stamping in Gorgeous Grape on Highland Heather cardstock. And I'm not going to do the bottom because it's not going to show. And then I do want to, so this part here is not going to show because it's going to be inside of here. But these little guys on the end are going to show. So I'm going to stamp a couple snowflakes on each end right there. Okay? Get rid of that. All right, so we're going to fold on all the folds. That's easy enough to do, right? I am so excited that you all join me. I hope that that it's way worth your time and that you get inspired to make a couple of gifts if you still need some things. And the Andes candies and a lot of the things that I got, I was at well, I went to Aldi's and got some stuff, and then I went to the Dollar Tree, which I haven't been to in a while, and I was just going crazy thinking, oh, I could do this with this, and it's just a great, inspiring store to go to, by the way. So, all right. Oh, I didn't show you how I did that. So I folded those two end pieces up, tucked them inside of the long pieces, and then you do sort of have to hold them tight so that they stay. But I found that if I took this and tucked that in there right away, I'm able to hold that together, and I can just reach in here and press that a little bit. Okay. So ladies, can I ask a favor of you really quickly? Please leave a comment so that when I'm done, I can see who joined me. But also see if you can share this with your friends so that nobody has to miss what I'm showing today. Because I promise you the replay is not going to be nearly as fun. It'll be good if you need to find a reminder on how to do something. Okay, so there's my box. I am going to go ahead and just glue the edge of this because I want that to stick to the inside piece. So glue just those long edges and tuck that back in there. Okay, and then what I did with these score lines is I folded down the bottom one and I folded up the top one. And of course now I need to hold this a little bit, so I probably should have done that first. I think that'll stay enough now. Nope, it won't. Fold up the top one. This just gave a little shape to the top of my bag or box, bag box. I don't know what you call it. And then I was able to add my ribbon right there. And I didn't leave it square. I pulled it out a little bit so that it looked like that. Okay, quick and easy, right? I think you all can do that part. I'm going to put this ribbon on here just so it holds that all together while that glues. Let me just tie this quick. All right, not the perfect bow, but anyways, so I hope that that's helpful to you. You could put nuggets in there. Hershey's nuggets will fit in there nicely. There's lots of candies you can put. You can even fit Ghirardelli's in there. You could probably fit about 4 of them in there. So that can be a cute favor or gift for somebody. All right, let me clean up for a second. All right, who's still with me? Did I lose anybody yet? Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, can't wait to show you this one. All right, let me get all my supplies here. Check it out. Okay, so I don't know what you would call this box, but once again, I made it to fit what I had bought, and I bought this. I think I bought this soap at the dollar store as well. I looked for a really fun, a nice smelling soap, and something that was a little different. So let me open this to show you. Okay, and now there's a little slot right here, and I'm going to lift that up. And I bought a thing of Yardley soap. I've never used it, but it smells so good. And I just tied a ribbon around it, opened the box, threw the box away. Excuse me, which you could easily cover if you wanted to. But I wanted this to look more special. And you can even put some shreddy in there if you want. But I tied our ribbon around it, and so that it now looks like, and it has a cool name. It sounds like an English name, right? So anyways, and this was a tag that was on a card that I had made back a few months ago, and decided I changed it up a little bit, added some red rhinestones there, and I had to cut this up because it was all the way across for a card, and I needed it to fit on here. So anyways, repurpose your cards, whatever, just make it easy. So let me show you what I did for that. Again, I'm going to need my scoring tool. So let me bring that back in here. And I'm going to sit this here. All right, now I need to not get my directions mixed up. All right, so this took a 12-inch piece of cardstock. So I used my scrapbook cardstock. The reason is I needed it to be longer because of the soap. Okay, so again, you can make it to the size you need. I should have showed you my scrap paper where I figured out what I needed. So let me open this up. So I figured the length that I needed here. I figured the width that I needed and the height that I needed. Okay, so the length that I needed, I was going to have here and here. The height that I needed, I was going to have here, here, and here. All right, so you add all of those together and it came up to 12 inches. It was longer than that, but I was able to scrunch the soap in there enough to, because I don't have bigger than 12-inch pieces of paper. Okay, then when I figured the width, I had the width here, and I needed to add the height here and here. I hope that makes sense. If you are a spatial person or good at geometry, that probably will make sense to you. If not, then you will have to make your box exactly as I have and find something to fit in it, okay? All right, so this is 12 inches long by 5 1/4 inches wide. So I can make 2 boxes out of one piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. On the short side, let me do that one first. You're going to score at 1 1/2 inches because that's my height, and 3 3/4 inches. And you'll see that, let's see, that takes me to 1 1/2. All right, so that means I have 1 1/2 here and 1 1/2 here. That's my height. Now on the long side, you're going to do 1 1/2, 5 1/4, 6 3/4. Again, here's 1 1/2 inches. So that's my height in here. And then 10 1/2 inches, because there's my 1 1/2 there. So I have 1 1/2 here, 1 1/2 here, and 1 1/2 here. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Now, the rest is so stinking simple. And I just lost my scrap paper. Oh, I don't need it, but okay. Let me go ahead and cut this. So for this one, you're going to cut on all of these little lines. Okay, you're not going to cut anything out. Everything stays as is. So I'm going to come in here, and I want the lines, the long lines, I want that line to be straight. Okay, so I'm going to cut that right on the line. But I'm also going to come into the little tab, and I'm going to angle that just a little bit, because if you've ever made boxes, you know how sometimes they can be finicky because something might be larger than another and it doesn't slide together nicely. Again, I'm cutting this straight right on the edge of this line, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to angle this. Again, on this piece, I'm going to cut straight in. I'm going to come in and angle. I never get those to cut completely out. Again, straight on here, and then angle. Okay, let's turn this, do the same thing on the other side. Straight on the edge of the long piece, and then angle on the tab. Straight on the long piece, angle on the tab. Straight on the long piece, angle on the tab. I'm telling you this because when I did it, I screwed up. I forgot and angled one of these, which didn't ruin my box at all, but it just looks so much more uniform. And I'm going to tell you, if you cut exactly and you score exactly, you should usually end up with something that lines up fairly nicely. All right, go ahead and just fold on all these edges. You can use your bone folder. You'll see that I don't use my bone folder often while I'm doing videos, just because I'm always in a hurry because I don't want to hold you up. I want to get to the good stuff. Okay, now one of these ends we're going to form into this bottom box. You see the bottom is a full, complete box. Okay, so just choose which one. It doesn't matter which one. And we're going to, just like we did on that other tiny little purple box, we're going to make this into a box just like that. Okay, so You can use sticky tape, you can use green glue. I tend to just use this because it's quick and easy. And I'm just going to sit that up. I'm going to make sure that I cut this edge straight, so I'm going to make sure that that's sitting squarely on that corner. And of course, when you use green glue, you do have to hold it for a second. And we'll do that. Oops, I left that scoot in. That's the nice thing about this with green glue. You can fix it if you're quick. Okay. All right, let's do this one. Now it looks like I'm putting a lot on there, and I mean I'm putting plenty, but it's not a huge pile. It's a very thin pile that I've spread all over. And this one I'm going to again line up that straight edge with the corners. Make sure that they're lined up nice. Press those in to make sure they glue good. Let me see if I turn this light up a little bit if you have more light. Hopefully you guys can see okay. All right. Okay. All right, the box is made and it looks fairly good. All right. Now we're ready to make this part, and that's just as simple. We'll glue these tabs down. Get that a little close to the edge there. Okay, now I like to actually form this over here because you want to make sure that it fits good. So I'm just going to tuck that in, press that down. Oh, before I do this, hold on one second. I always forget this part. I want to put a tab here. So I need my 1.5 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to pop a little tab in there so that it's easy to pull this back up once you have it glued together. So I'm going to press that down, form the box, form everything right around that box, and just hold that in place until that is glued good. And that's it, guys. That's how quick and easy it is to make a cute box. Like I said, I don't have a name for it, and it just folds down nicely like that. Now what I did was I wrapped, this ribbon is loose in here so that you can pull it through or take it off. But I did tie that down. You will notice that, let me see if I can let this go. At the back here, these flaps sort of, there's not really anything to do with those. So that's why I put the ribbon around it. And you can see when that's wrapped around there, it holds that pretty nicely together and you don't even see that those flaps are loose. Okay? That is it for that box. All right. I'm going to keep the measurements with that in case anybody has questions. All right, the next one, I'm going to do a gift card holder. We've done these at my classes last year. I didn't do any this year. And so this is the one that I'm going to show you. This is using our copper foil, and this is the brightly gleaming designer paper. All of these, this one's just upside down, and Night of Navy. And again, this came from a card that I made, and I just looked through my cards and I went, okay, well that suits what I need. And then I did add this ribbon. So this will open, or you can pull it off, whichever. And I made it to actually go this way because my design was tall. And there you go. Oh, there, I forgot to do that. I had already done this for opening this direction. So anyways, you would stamp that like this so that you can, you know, put your, you know, write to the person there, write a little note with your card. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Let's get our scoop. Oh no. There it is. Okay, so I used the Christmas Gleaming stamp set and the punches that go with that, which are retiring. A lot of this stuff is retiring, so if it's still available, you can go shopping if you'd like. You will not get it before Christmas unless you do a 2-day air, and then you most likely could get it in time. But hopefully you guys can use some stuff that you have already on hand. So my piece of cardstock is 7 3/4 by 5 inches. I'm going to score it at 2.5 and 6 inches. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to it. All right. Now, I don't think I brought all of the other pieces along to show you because everything is pretty self-explanatory. I decided that I wanted the long flap to be my front and the short flap to be the gift card holder. You can do it either way. You can see how this could look just as fine. This is almost half and half, but I like when it's off-centered. I'm not sure you can even see that with, yeah, you can see that with the light. Okay, so what you'll want to do here is you'll want to do a little notch. So don't forget that part. This punch is so like necessary for so many of these things. So I'm just going to give you the measurements for the designer paper because that's all you need yet. So on this, for the designer paper here, you're going to need 4 3/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch. For this piece here, you're going to need 4 3/4 inch by 1 1/2 inch. Okay. And then for the little piece of white in here, I did mine at 4 3/4 by 2 1/4 for this little white piece here. I just went 1/4 inch down from the actual measurement of the piece. Okay, that's how I figured that. And then of course this piece is done with our stitched rectangle dies, and these were just punched out with the ornament punch. All right, so I did put my designer paper down first and then I gave a notch, but I'm going to go ahead and just notch this so I don't forget to do that, and I can always remember to cut the paper later once I put that on. But I'm going to save you that just because you don't need to see that part. Now this is plenty wide so that I can actually, let's use tear and tape on here. I like tear and tape on when something is sliding in, because green glue can stay tacky and can really make a mess when you're trying to slide something in and out. When I was doing those slider cards, that slider card series that I have on YouTube, I really tended to use the tear and tape more than the green glue. Okay, and then just close that, and there will still be plenty of room to slide your gift card and it will hold it very nicely. Okay? All right, so that was easy, right? Once again, I'll let you see this. There's my ribbon. So what I did here was I didn't glue this down completely to the edge, and I actually made it so that you could slide it off like a belly band, and I forgot and untied it, but anyways, it will fit right under there and hold that piece down. Okay, so that's that. Let's see, what else do I have? I have so many things to show you. Oh, I did bring stamps for that, but I didn't do all the paper. Okay, that one's busy, that one's busy. Let me do this one. Okay, I wanted to make something that you could do quick and easy as treats or something to go on a package. So I did this with hot chocolate and a candy cane. Just so you know, these are organic candy canes, so they do look a little different. They were a freebie from our food bank with our homeschool group. So anyways, I'm probably not going to need to show you a lot with this, but I've used this stamp set as you've seen. This is my second time today using this. And I just love the dies, and I use the blue glimmer paper, which I believe is carrying over, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm just going to basically tell you about this one. So what I did was I took my hot cocoa packet and I just folded this. I measured the width and I made it a little bit wider, and then I folded this piece of paper up, which I think mine is a little shorter than this piece here. I folded this up, and then mine was long enough here, so I folded it back so that you get to see the other side of it as well. And then all I did was I stapled. You can see my little staples. I used our old Stampin' Up! Stapler. right here at the edge. I didn't staple the packet in, I just stapled the cardstock, the designer paper together so that that would stay together as a pouch. Tied some ribbon around, stuck the, I put 2 glue dots here for the candy cane, one here and one here. And then I just put a glue dot here for my my snowflake. So that was fairly quick and easy. You can do that. I do want to show you, I saved these little insides to this snowflake. On one of my videos, I think I showed you, but look at those. Don't they look like the most gorgeous little diamond-shaped gems? And then I just take our fine tip glue pen. Once I have them glued down, put a little bit of fine tip glue, which is like it's like Crystal Effects, and it turns it into a gem. So I'm saving all of those because I'm going to create a bunch of gems. I'm not going to waste those. They're just too gorgeous. All right, so that's that one. I'm trying to show you all the really easy ones first because I have 2 that are a little bit more involved. And I'm really happy though, because boy, for the hours that it took me to make these, it's not taking me as long to show you. Okay, so I'm going to show you this sour cream pouch. I wanted to make a sour cream pouch. They're just so fun and festive looking, and I wasn't sure what size I wanted, but I wanted to put enough treats inside. So this is the size I used. You can change it up. There's many different ways. You can do a 5x7. This one is actually 6. Let me just make sure I measure this right. This one is 7.5 by 6. So I'm able to get 2 of these out of a sheet of designer paper. Okay. But like I said, you could do 5x7. But yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually use the other side. I actually took our tear and tape and just ran it down the edge of one side, one of the short sides. Press that down good. And then go ahead and run it down one other side of the long sides. Okay. All right. You're going to tear off the short side only right now. I'm actually going to, I'm just going to pull this up so that I can get that off easily. Go ahead and just roll it together. Don't press down too far, but sort of look up at the top and down at the bottom to see if you have about the same amount of overlap. The nice thing about this one is there's very little measuring with it. You decide what size you want to do and then you go for it. And then I'm just going to do some pinching here to get that sticking down good. Just reach in there and make sure you press that down good. The reason I didn't want to press this down is because the part that I glued down, I found this from, let's see, one that I made. I guess I didn't bring that one in, but I pressed this down here, but then when I got up here, I had this crease at my corner because you're going to crease that opposite. So I want this one down here to be creased like this, where the fold is coming together, or the crease is coming together. So now I can go ahead and peel this off, and I have my edge of my paper meeting there. So just behind, and I'm going to just press that down and press those 2 edges together. Just be careful as you're working with this. They do look nasty if they get all bent out of shape. So I try to be really careful not to put creases where creases shouldn't be. All right, then next you're going to just come up and press this down. And this is where it gets it's not tricky, it's just tricky to not get creases everywhere. So I'm just doing this opposite now. So this fold is going vertical and this one's going horizontal. And then when we had our old corrugator, and if you still have it, it works great to actually put that in here and just slide it through. It gives some great creases right there. So I actually just took it and held both sides together and gave that a little crease on top there. So, and then I did it the other way because I really want that piece to be visibly flat. Okay, you can see how that looks there. Next thing that you want to do is go ahead and put 2 hole punches here, because this end you don't want to glue down, because you've got to put your treats in here and they have to be able to get their treats out of here. Okay, so 2 holes there. Now you can just gently open this up, drop your treats inside, and voila. So I used our, I don't think I brought that in, this gorgeous set that I refused to buy because I missed our other one that we had from last year, but I finally broke down. It's so pretty, with the pine cones and the greens, and I will show you what's inside. Once again, a special that I got at the Dollar Tree. So I'm gonna have to get my ribbon. I don't want to pull it completely out. But I found a little box of truffles. I have 4 truffles in it. They fit perfectly in here. And won't that be a fun little treat to get? Okay, so I'm not going to take the time to tie that for you, but I did a large and a small pine cone, and I just tucked them behind the leaves. Tried to make them look as realistic, that they weren't like just sticking out in the middle of thin air. Okay, all right. That one's done. All right, so now we're down to, let me just look at my pile to make sure I don't want to miss anything. And I'm losing my notes. All right. Okay, yep, we're down to the last 2. And I'm gonna show the next to the last one to you. I'm gonna just give you a couple of tips. I'm not going to go in complete depth on how to do this, but I just wanted to show you what you can do. These are our shaker domes. So it's for our shaker, the stamp set and the dies, which are just so gorgeous. You've got a church, 2 parts to a church. You've got a deer, you've got trees, you've got bears, and then you have the base for the actual shaker dome, or the shaker little ornament thingy. Not the ornament, I'm sorry. Like if you were sitting it. But anyways, I did put that on here. So I'm going to try to explain a few tips that I did to show this to you. I did use our embossing paste on the outside edge here, because this red is actually our red velvet paper. And so I was able to trim that off, but it left sort of a raggedy edge because I cut it with my scissors and I didn't like it. So I added snow to the outside edge of that. But you can see all the shimmer in here. So inside of here is a window sheet that I cut out with, I cut with this die, and I only had that one piece of window sheet. I am totally out. And I think Lara, I think it's your fault. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But I think Lara got my last 2 pieces of window sheet and I forgot to reorder. So anyway, so I cut this out of our window sheet, and then I glued the trees, then the church, then the bear, and on the other side I did the same thing. I glued the trees, the church, and the bear. Okay, and then I tucked that right inside of this little dome. And let me show you how. I told you I'm out of window sheets, so I decided to do just a bear. My guys are definitely nature guys. So I took, I don't know if you can see this, but this is just a cello bag, something that I got something from Stampin' Up in it, sealed. And what I did was I took this piece, which was cut out, which is, I'm sorry, I'm trying to explain all of this. It's this piece right here. And I laid it on the fold. I put it right on the fold, and then I trimmed it out with about 1/8 of an inch around each edge, and I'll show you why in just a second, okay? And so now I have this piece of plastic that folds in the center. I stuck the two bear on the outside, And then I did this, I did 2 of these so that they were the same on either side, my plaid paper. So those are 2 pieces glued together, and then I did trees on either side. Okay, now that's going to tuck inside of here. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I do have a little bit of an edge of plastic around there. So what I want to do is I'm going to get this one ready to put together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to peel this off. I am going to put some of our sequins for everything in there. And it's this little thing of all kinds of sequins. I'm going to put some green ones. And I'm going to put some red ones. And you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and put some gold ones. I probably didn't want that many in one side, but maybe my shot glass will be good to keep a couple of those for the other side. Okay, I don't want to mix them back in here. Okay, so now the reason I wanted this this plastic to be over the edges because it's not firm like the window sheet was for this one, and it's just going to stay. And that there's a little ledge right here inside of this dome, and that window sheet sits right there. But this one, I'm going to need it to stick to the sticky thing that I just took off of there. And so I'm going to place this so that this sticky is on both, is right on that sticky part. All right, now I need to put some more sequins here. So let's go ahead and get these out of here. So they're so staticky, they want to stick to everything. Whoops. You definitely don't want those on your sticky edge, okay? So just be careful. Let me put a few more green ones in here. And some more red ones. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to remove the sticky part to this. And the only problem that I have right now is that I didn't do ribbon. Hold on one second. You definitely want, I definitely have enough ribbon laying around here. You want to make sure that if you're going to use this as an ornament, that has to stick into this part right here. And so I want to stick this right here at the top into my sticky stuff. And there we go. Now with this one, I actually put more sticky tape on that ribbon, but this one's so fine that I think the sticky from both sides will work together, and that I don't think I'll lose my what do I want to say, I can't think of the word. Anyways, I think that it will be fine. So I'm going to tuck that paper down in there. It's scooting up. Okay. You're all getting to see this feat for the first time. Hopefully this idea I had will be good. And then I'm just putting that down on top of there. And I'm going to just make sure that seals really well. And there we go. Now we've got our little bear, our colorful sequins, and both sides. So when you hang this on your tree, if it turns around, you'll be able to see both sides. Now, the rest of it, I'm just going to explain to you what I did. Let me put the lid on these before I have them everywhere. What you'll need to do if you want to create this look is you need to take whatever paper that you want to use and take this die, and let me just grab my scrap paper here and I'll explain. So you'll grab, say this is your red paper. You'll cut this with at least 1/4 inch on each side, and you will take this piece out. This piece you won't need to use, except that I found that, where did I put that little red piece there? I found that when I wanted to cut this bottom part, that this die fit perfectly on there, so I wasn't wasting that piece. And then just cut this piece out square, like with your 1/4 inch edge around, and you'll just tuck that right over. This is all sticky right here, okay? So that if you were doing a card, you would actually cut this out of your card. You would stick this inside your card, and then this piece will stick out. I should have made a card too, so that I could show you that. But anyways, so you're using the outside edge of this because you need this round edge, and you'll slide that on, and then you just trim that square edge to get rid of the excess. And that's where I ran into trouble, because the velvet paper has a white inside to it. So if you undercut it, then you had some white around the edge. The velvet paper is gorgeous, but the edge of it is not gorgeous. So with the die cut, it was fine because the die cut cuts completely flat. Whereas with me cutting, I did not know where the edge of my plastic was under there, and I didn't want to cut into this plastic piece. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. I should have probably showed you how to do the whole thing, but then I did take two of these pieces and glued them down here on either side to create that finished look. But isn't that church just gorgeous? It just, I don't know, there's something about churches and steeples that is, and especially at Christmas time. So hopefully that gives you a couple ideas that you can try if you have that set. Okay, let me not lose my die here, because that would not be good. Put it back where it belongs. Sometimes if I'm really busy, I just throw them in the envelope and don't make sure they're in the right spot. Okay, now last but definitely not least, I hope that you're still with me. Who's still with me? I see Tina, you said grip. Oh, what does that mean? Grip, grip, grip. I know, maybe because I'm dropping things, I'm not sure what that meant. Okay, so at Scrap Retreat, Diana, I don't know if Diana's on here, gave me this little gift, and I don't have it in here. And I texted her yesterday because I thought, wouldn't that be fun to show you guys how to do this? And she didn't get back to me right away, and I didn't expect her to. And I thought, well, I can figure this out. So it was this little holder, and it was just this front set, and it had a place here. And then I was trying to figure out how I could do it best with a sheet of cardstock. And so I'm going to call this a 2-sheet wonder, because I was not able to do it. Great, I'm glad you guys are still with me. I was not able to do it with. So this is my first piece. This is this one right here is this middle piece, this middle little slot here. This one is this front little one. And then this one, I had this edge and I thought it's not enough to make this box. Doggone it. I wanted to do everything on one sheet. And I don't think I could move it around enough to do that. So I thought, well, that would make a great little pen holder. And then when I got it done, I was like, well, duh, this is all for adhesive and stuff. I don't need a pen holder and an adhesive case. And I was like, oh, I need this for my glue dots and for pulling the strip off of this. So this is my little Pokey tool holder. And then, well, because I needed to cut this piece out of another piece of paper, I decided that, well, maybe I needed another little compartment back here. I'm frozen. No, seriously. Is anybody else having trouble with is anybody else seeing me frozen? If you can let me know. It looks okay from here. I'm not seeing a problem, so I'll keep going. Hopefully it's not going to kick me off because I'm getting too long-winded. But anyways, so I ended up making this little extra compartment so that I could put my ribbon the whole way around the back. And this side is going to have, I think I cut it, is going to have just one whole piece of ribbon there. But because I had added pieces to this as I was designing this. So here's what we did. I have cut one. This is where you'll cut first. I have cut 2 here where you'll cut second. I have cut 3 here where you'll cut third. I have cut 4 here where you'll cut this little piece off. And then cut 5 will be just shortening this piece here. Okay, so that's that one. So let me make sure I'm in the picture good, and hopefully, let me hopefully you can see that okay and maybe get a screenshot of that. I will try to scan these and post them on my blog, and then I'll give you a link to that. Okay, now the second piece is, like I said, I didn't have room for this one, so I did this one on here and I did this back piece on here. So I have a lot left over here. This is not used. So this is my, let's see, where's my cut one? Cut one is here at 6 inches, okay? And then cut 2 is here at 4 5/8 off of this piece. So 4 5/8 will be cut 2. Cut 3 is just cutting a 1/2 inch off the bottom of this piece. And then cut 4 is here. So these are the 2 pieces that you will need then. So I told you cut 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, whatever, because that way you could utilize the most of your paper. If you make the wrong cut, then you'll have to pitch part of what you're doing, okay? And then let me put this in screen so you can screenshot that, hopefully. Get my blog spot out of the way. And then let's get started. Okay, so I have them all laid out on the paper here, like I have, I'm going to start with this front piece. Okay, so this is our first one. I'm going to put that one aside for a minute. So let me just show you here. I have this piece cut out, and I have this piece cut out, and I'm missing, here, this piece fell off. There's that piece. Okay, so I didn't do cut 5 on this one yet, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my cutter, and I need my little extension here. This cut number 5 is at 8 inches, so this is 8 inches long, and I didn't score this one either the other direction, so I'm going to go ahead. This one gets scored at 4 and 4 1/2. Okay, and I already scored it this direction at a half and 1 inch, so that's that piece. Okay, let's see, the rest of these are scored, and this is my let me grab them both here so I can see. This is my front little box. Let me just give you score lines really quick for the front, I should say the front larger box. So it's 5 by 5 and 5 by 7. It's scored at 1 inch on both sides here, 1 inch, and then in the center for the bottom part of it, it's scored at 3 and 4. Okay. All right. Let me show you how to put those together real quick. These are just like putting those boxes together, except they're not square. They're tall rather than square. So you're going to snip, and again, I'm going to angle both of these sides this time because I'm not worried about that nice square edge. I want those tabs to be able to slide in there nicely. I will try to make this as short as possible. It really does not take that long to do this. So get all your scores done. I probably should have done that before I cut it, then I wouldn't have to pull up how many different pieces. I am going to burnish this just because it's not, I must not have scored it very strongly. Okay, let me get rid of my scraps. All right, so this is ready to put together. And this little piece here, I really don't care about. I'm only worried about gluing these together. That's not going to get in the way of my glue dots because they are, so I'm not going to glue flaps here. This is just going to be front and the back. So I want, I'm just going to do sticky tape here really quick. Okay. If you have fingernails, use them. If not, use your Pokey tool. And those little flaps have to go inside. And then this just makes into a box. And boom, done. One done. I told you it was quick and easy. Okay, this one, once again, let's do the folds first. I think that'll make it easier. Smarter, not harder, right? Work smarter, not harder. Okay. And one last one. Okay. Flaps, angle, angle. I am just leaving those in there that way in case you decide on some other use for your box, and it's small things that they're not going to fall out if you cut this flap out. So okay, once again, sticky tape on the edge. Okay. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, I'm a little over an hour, but I'm almost done, guys. This is the last project. Okay, now this one's going to be a little trickier because it's narrow and, oh, shoot, I did that wrong. And I also did this one wrong. I have the wrong measurements on that. I'm such an idiot. Okay, I have to fix that. I wanted, because the front and the back of these are supposed to be different heights, and on that one I screwed up. I wanted this flap to be going the other way. So what's going to happen here is, in that height, you're just going to trim that off from point to point so that you have that little nice opening to put your sticky tape in, okay? All right, so this one, unfortunately, was supposed to be shorter here, so I need to change my, actually, my measurements on here are correct. I had this cut wrong. So that was my boo-boo. So fortunately, your measurements are correct. Let me just look at that. Yeah, I just cut this wrong. So let me see if I can just give this a little bit of a trim. I want to trim this here. This is going to go an inch down and across. And wow, I am terrible with cutting straight. I'm not terrible, but I don't know. I think it's just way harder to do than it is to cut with your cutting tools. So, and that's not straight. So let me see if I can fix it. So do what I say, not what I do, okay? It's not what I teach my kids, but it does work for some things. All right. That looks absolutely hideous. Hopefully my designer paper will take care of that. So that's going to glue on the front of there like that. All right, now on to the back piece, which is the Pokey tool holder. Let me just clean up my mess. I'm not used to doing that, so in videos I'm trying to like not leave it look too messy. All right, so here we want to burnish our folds again. And we have these two in the center. And this is just a really interesting way to make a box. And I don't know, it's pretty cool. That way your bottom is completely flat. There's no joints on the bottom, and I think it helps it to stand better because you're not having several layers on the bottom that could be wonky. Okay, so once again, one should be shorter. Let me just check that. Yes, it is. Okay, good there. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here and here. Okay, so now our stylus, or our Pokey tool part is almost finished. Oops, I want that to go outside. Okay, putting it right into the corner. Everything just overlaps perfectly. And then once again, I'm going to snip these little edges like so. And this goes right here. Okay. All right, we're down to 2 more. On the next sheet, we have, let me flip these around. Okay, so on this sheet, we have just 2 pieces that we need. So I'm going to take those off. The rest of this piece here is enough to make another one of these. So if you're making a couple, you'll be able to get 2 of these per one cutting. All right. So this one is scored at 3 and 4 again, and so this is 2 inches and this is 3 inches. And so the big boxes are 1 inch wide, so everything's in 1 inch, and the little boxes are 1/2 inch, and everything's in 1/2 inches if you're adding and subtracting like I showed you with the other box, okay? I know I'm getting sloppy with my cutting, but I'm trying not to hold you guys too long and just show you the really important things, because y'all know how to cut, so I figure you can get that part. Again, sticky tape on the outside edge. You could also put sticky tape on the inside edge if you want to. I'm a minimalist, so less is more and less work, right? Okay, once again, fold those up. They just meet and form that nice little square or rectangle. And once again, snip off these. You see, I'm going from the corner to where this meets here. So, all right. Now we have the front. How cool is that, right? Okay, one last piece. We're almost done. Thanks for hanging with me. All right, so this one's a 1/2 inch because it's in the back, and that one's smaller back there. So we've got a 1/2 inch there. And just 2 more pieces to snip here. Okay. All right, sticky tape. And you see I'm putting the sticky tape on the shortest side. So I'm putting it always on the shortest side so that that tucks back behind. So that the joint where the paper joins, you won't see that. I didn't do that on my other one. Okay, last but not least, like I said, these wider, narrower ones are a little harder. You want to make sure that you get them together nice and square, and that's why I usually stand them up so that the bottom is square. I've seen too many boxes put together that aren't square on the bottom, and then nothing wants to stand up. Okay, so we have all of our pieces. Let me just show you here. All but the front one turned out really nice because I screwed that one up. And I will try to fix that because you can see how far I need to be down here. I was way short of 1 inch. But look how nicely they, oh, I forgot to trim this one. So I designed it so that everything went at the right angle, and I had to play with that till I got the right measurements there. But I want that whole piece to be completely straight down. Okay, so putting these together, you can use green glue, you can use sticky tape. Trying to think what I want to do here. I think that I'm going to just go across here like this. And I want sticky tape between those two because I want them to stick together on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that in there. And I'll put this on here. You have to make sure this is pressed down good before you can lift the plastic or the paper off of it. So Sometimes you just have to remember to press that down. Okay, let me go ahead and stick these together first and make sure that they're nice and square. Okay, and now I have them both sticky in the back, so I'm gonna just line them up, make sure they're flat on the bottom, and pressing in on the sides, and just give that a little press, and then go down in here and press really good so that you're getting those two marry together there. Okay, and then the nice thing about this is I'm going to have a ribbon around the whole thing, and that's going to make sure that it holds everything together, so you won't stress too much about that. And before I stick, whoops, before I stick that together, let's go ahead and get some on here to go between. My paper's coming off before I even, it's sticking to my finger, so it's not laying very flat there, but hopefully. And then I'm going to put those two together like that, and now these can come off of here. We are almost done, guys. Isn't this coming together easily? I think fairly, other than the first screw up in the front. All right, again, I'm going to put my hands on the side to make sure that they're all meeting up nicely in the back, and voila, there we go. Okay, so my designer paper, I don't think I wrote these down for you, so let me just, for this front piece here, that's not right. Okay, this is the front piece. I don't have I must have forgot to cut this little piece, so I did those two separate, so that will go in here and here. But for this one, this is the one I wanted to show you. This one I just glued on and then trimmed that off. So I'm just going to go ahead and put some green glue on here, and it was easier just to do this whole piece. And I'll just let that sit on there for a minute while I do the other side. Maybe lay that carefully, and okay. All right, now I will right away, I'm going to take a few minutes and try to get these scanned in for you, so that if you decide you want to do some of these, you will have the exact measurements. Like I said, I did this front one wrong, but I'm pretty sure the measurement was right. I'm going to check everything and make sure it's all correct. And then I just came in along here and just snipped off the excess, so that when you look at that, it has that nice edge to it. Okay, that is it. Well, and then I just tied a ribbon around the whole thing. I do have to finish trimming that front piece yet, but I'll get that. Do like I say, not like I do. Yes, I do have a 31 tote, but I don't have any place. I have a trash can beside me here, so I'm throwing everything in that. My stamping area is very, very small. I'm in my spare bedroom on a little table, so everything is on the bed that I have to show you, and then yeah. Okay, so yeah, so then I just, once I had all my paper on, I just tied my ribbon around and tied a bow in the front, and that was it. So wow, whew, that was a marathon, guys. Thank you for staying with me. I hope that you're enjoying the gorgeous weather. Hopefully you have a wonderful Christmas. I'm gonna just pop back over here, and we'll see. My hat is still on straight. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. I don't wear hats, so other than my covering, so hats usually just fall all over the place. All right, so thank you again, guys, for joining me. I hope you have fun making things. Let me know. Post what you're making on our page. I think I have it set up that you guys can post stuff, and I would love to see what you're working on. I hope that I've inspired you to try something new. All right. Have a great day. God bless.